This session is called What We Did, What We're Doing, What We Hope to Do, and Why. As it becomes clear that our mutual life will remain virtual for some time to come, it's important for our musical community to come together to plan out our future. Tonight, Dianna and I will explore what Sonoma Bach was before the pandemic, including some of our strengths, some of our challenges, what we're doing during this difficult time, with consideration of additional possible activities and directions, and what we hope to be when our in-person activities are once again practical. A central question will be posed for us all to ponder and discuss together over the next few weeks and months. How can we not simply survive through this difficult time, but rather learn and grow and even thrive as individuals and as a community? And then I have a few sort of introductory things, but first of all, I'd like to play a little bit of music for you. This is the Sonoma County Bach Choir and Live Oak Baroque Orchestra in spring 2017, the Bach Magnificat. No, that's not it. Here we go. So that's a reminder of what we do when things are normal. And we know that things aren't normal now. And tonight is all about how can we get through this? And as I mentioned, not just survive, but thrive. As Dianna mentioned, we very much want input from you all, and maybe consider this session to be a kind of a seed that we'd like to plant amongst all of us and see what grows out of it. So please, even if there's not a lot of time for a question and answer in this session, please, by all means, remain with us and be thinking about these things. A few bywords as we go along, things to sort of keep in mind. The thing that's most on my mind right now is community. That is to say, what is it? What is our community? Why does it matter? How can we make it more rich and more productive and a more beautiful thing in all of our lives? Individual skills are on my mind because I think that's one of the things that we can do during this pandemic period. The big picture skills are the skills, that's the term that I used for kind of the whole picture. In other words, not just the blue collar, I'm singing my line, but the understanding of and knowledge of the repertoire and specific pieces and kind of how they work and how they all go together. That's another thing that I think we can be pretty productive on even during this time. And the idea of taking advantage of this period to produce some good, a fearless evaluation of who we are, what we are, where we would like to be. And then a few specific things. Kids and young people, is there any way that we can involve them more? We've been reaching out in certain ways, trying to do that. That's something I think that's very important for us, always is for arts organizations. And then organizational strength, obviously, and Dianna especially is going to be talking about that. I'm not going to read our whole mission statement, but we have, many of you know that mission statements have a specific kind of form these days, and they tend to be short and pithy and to sort of pop. And ours is the opposite, kind of because of me. I think, because I tend to be wordy and I want to say it in detail. And what we do is long form. In other words, I have to assume that our audience, in order to get what we do, has to be able to concentrate over a period of time. And therefore, describing something, whether it be a blurb in our brochure or something like this, in greater detail, people can always choose not to read. But I just want to highlight a few things in here. Sonoma Bach brings together and nurtures a community of music lovers in our beloved Sonoma region to share in the magnificent experience of early music. There's the three basic things that we are and do. We love music. We love to share it with our community. We love the Sonoma region, and we love early music. So that it kind of says it all right there. And then this idea, a little further down in that paragraph, we believe that this music can speak powerfully to today's audiences. And we reach out not only to those already familiar with its pleasures and beauties, but also to those for whom the music is brand new. And that's really important. That's a way to keep our community alive. And it's aspirational. I mean, I think we all love when people come who aren't the normal profile. We love our normal profile people too, of course. But when younger people come, or people who aren't already steeped in early music or classical music, it's a special kind of thing. And to reach them somehow is a good thing. And if they feel like they got something out of it, instead of I think sometimes people come into the classical music experience and feel repelled, kind of, or intimidated. And it's something that we work on all the time. But we can do better. I think we can do better in how we try to reach the people, but we can also probably do better in how to bring people in. Of course, the second paragraph is all about our ensembles and our concert series and our, what we call in the mission statement, imaginative programs. And that's tied in with this idea of reaching out and trying to make the music, help the music connect. The next paragraph is all about where we do these things. A few things that I'd like to point out there is this idea of the site-specific concert. We used to be nothing but site-specific concerts, and many of you will remember that we were like Where's Waldo, and we never knew where the hell we were going to turn up. And now we're almost always in Schroeder, which is wonderful. But we might think about doing a little bit more outreach. This also tied to the idea of connecting with a more diverse audience. The idea of going to places where people might be, and pop-up concerts and site-specific concerts can be really helpful. Of course, we love St. Seraphim. The fourth program talks about our education program, though I like to talk about it in terms of learning and exploration. Even though I've been an educator for my whole career, the word education somehow doesn't do it for me. So I hope you bear with me on this one, at least for the next hour. What we're trying to do with all of the classes and things that we do during normal times is help people develop their individual skills, their ability to work effectively within an ensemble, their knowledge of the repertoire, and then putting it all together. What does it all mean? How can I connect? And I think these things are all really important, and sometimes are kind of washed over in the excitement of putting on a concert. But from the beginning, we've focused on learning and exploration quite a lot, and it's something that I take pride in. I think our organization takes pride in. It's something that we should always keep in mind. And then there's the sort of hortatory close-up. We believe passionately in the power of music to bring people together, to help us work through life's challenges, and to serve as a catalyst for positive change. Now, I think all of us probably on this call can connect with one or two or three, all three of those things. It's a hard time right now because music can do some of these things for us remotely, but a lot of what we're talking about is live music, real human beings up on the stage in the room with you, pouring their love and skill and style into the music making in an attempt to bridge the gulf that separates us all. And I think that's one of the things that music can do for us. And one of the reasons why we felt so bereft when suddenly we didn't have any live music. Um, and then this belief that our world becomes better. Is that true? I don't know. I mean, we feel that it does, and we feel that by moving hearts and minds, we can make a small contribution to a better world. But I think we need to look at these things a little more closely and see, are we missing a chance to change the world in some other ways? I mean, I think everyone probably agrees the last 4 months in many ways has put emphasis and spotlight on so many things that aren't right, that do need to be changed. And where, no matter where you're at politically, or or on any other parameter, I think we can all agree to that. So I'd like to, one of the things I'm interested in is taking a look at some of this aspirational language and seeing how can we bring it more into reality. And so this talk is designed, as I mentioned, in a sort of threefold format: what we were, what we are, and what we aspire to be in the future when things are, quote, normal again. We don't really know what that's going to be, and we certainly don't know when that's going to be. And Dianna will probably give us a little more information about that. But she and I and our board, and virtually almost everyone else within Sonoma Bach that we've talked to, is in agreement that important and indeed vital as much of what we do is, we don't need to jeopardize people's health for it. And we that would be the most terrible thing to happen. So much as we'd love to push the rules and do, socially spaced, blah blah blah, we're not going to do that until we're really sure that it's safe. So on the left side of this little table that you see, what we did, already strong. These are the things that we do, many of which I have already highlighted during when I was reading off of the of our mission statement. We feel that we're doing really well with our programming, that our learning and exploration program is strong. There may be some things that we can do, as you'll see over on the right side. Audience has been growing. This is fantastic. We've been ending the years in the black, which is fantastic. We develop an art contest, which is an outreach to high school age students. And I think we have a very good community spirit. It's something that I think I really value. This is just a partial list, some kind of food for thought. And over on the right side, and everyone could do some version of this if they like, it might be a good exercise to think about what is Sonoma Bach in your life? What are the good things that it brings to your life? And what are some things that you think maybe we could do better or more of, or something we're not doing yet? And we're not going to be able to do everything that everybody brings up, but it's really important to air these ideas because ideas come from everywhere, not just from leadership. Ideas come from everyone who's involved. And again, we aspire to be better, to move forward. And much as we like what we are now, I think we can change, and good things can come from that. So audience development, and that means, more audience. We've been selling out a number of concerts and getting great audiences. I have to take my hat off to Dianna for all the work that she's done over these years to make that happen. And it's been a pretty steady rise. And so, of course, we want that to continue. But when I say audience development, I don't mean just fill empty seats that we still do have in some concerts, but to expand and even diversify our audience, to reach out towards the kind of people who don't, quote, normally come. And this could mean youth. This could mean, in our area, especially the Latino population or Latinx population. And there's people who don't like, quote, like classical music. Maybe they don't think they like classical music. Is it possible to reach out to them? In terms of learning and exploration, two things that I think are really important are sight singing and vocal training. And I'd like to incorporate those things. We have so many resources in terms of people who are already part of our community who do this training. So beautiful. I think in terms of sight singing, I think of people like Shauna and Lauren and Paul In terms of vocal training, I think of course, those people as well, but also Ruth Escher and Chris Fritchie and people like that. As many of you know, we're trying to integrate them, especially on the vocal side, more and more. And Chris and Ruth were going to be regular vocal coaches for the Bach choir. But these are things I think that could really help us to expand and do better what we do. When I say more auditionees, I don't mean to make people paranoid, but it would be nice to have a somewhat larger pool of people to draw on during the audition process, and also for groups like Circa, and even for the Green Mountain Consort. These groups, people come, people go. Sometimes people can't do a certain set, etc. And it would be great to expand not only our community, our audience type community, but also our community of singers. Outreach to kids in schools is obvious. Virtually every nonprofit is trying to do something like that. As I mentioned, we're doing the art contest, and I think that's fantastic, but we can perhaps do more. And then build up financial reserves so that we don't just end in the black, but we end in the black with a little whoof, a little space, little financial space. So that's kind of an introduction to taking a close look, kind of zeroing in a little bit on what we did before, what we liked about it, what we think might get better. I'm sure you'll all have thoughts. Now, Dianna's going to tag onto that aspect with a commentary from her perspective.
I'm going to start sharing my screen, so just give me 1 second. Ooh. Okay. Well, obviously, Bob and I have a lot of the same ideas. So just to review a little bit about where we were pre-COVID-19. And if I do say so myself, I really think that we've been putting on some really high quality concerts and events. I think we can be really proud of the programming that we've been putting together. I'm proud of the growing audience, and that's been something that's been on the rise over the last few years, especially over the last season, probably the last year starting in January 2020. We've had an increase of new donors, and I think this really comes from our singer sponsorship program and a couple of other fundraising ideas that we've used. And so that's been kind of an exciting development for us. I again think that we have a very strong Sonoma Bach community, and so I think we can be really proud of 30 years of the Sonoma Bach Choir, and the kind of people that we attract and the kind of things that we do are really special. Another thing is our new community programming, and that has to do with the high school art program. And we also did a Girl Scout program this year, which I'll show you a couple of things about in just a second. But again, so we also have the same idea about these weaknesses. We have a difficulty attracting new singers. Tight budgeting only for the reason that we are just kind of skirting out at the end of the year in the black, but it would be great if we could think long-term, plan more things further in advance, and not have to really nickel and dime ourselves to make sure that we're going to make it through to the end of the season. So some concentrated fundraising would help us going forward, and we've been working really hard in that aspect. But going forward, it'd be great if we could have a little bit more of a cushion at the end of the year. Another weakness that we have is recruiting new board members. We all have been working very hard to bring new people onto our board, and it's a complicated situation, and we could use definitely some ideas on that and how we can recruit people to build a strong board and going forward. And also we have many board members that have served on our board for many, many years that could potentially need to be replaced here in the coming years. And we'd love to be able to build a stronger community for our board, and trying to bring our volunteers in and hold them a little bit tighter to us. Another weakness is connecting with other groups. I'd love in the long run for us to spend some more time at other concerts, supporting other choirs that are here in Sonoma County, trying to support each other in, just being there. And because we all have a common goal, and that's creating music. And so I think that kind of connection is really important going forward. But I do want to take a second to highlight a couple of programs that we have presented in the last year. And I'm just going to move my thing. So in January of this last year, Sonoma Bach presented a Girl Scout musician badge, and that was for 4th and 5th grade Girl Scouts. And we had 50 Girl Scouts that came, and they were able to check out all 3 of our organs. So that's the big brombau, that's the our tiny little talus, and also the clop organ. And they were able to play them and spend some time with Ann Laver, the organist from our organ recital. And she taught them some songs, and they were able to spend some time with her and ask some questions, and earn their musician badge. And so here is Ann working with Lena, working on her footwork here, and she played Don't Stop Believin', which was really fun.
It was awesome.
But this is just an idea of one of the programs that we offer. We offered this last year. That's part of our development. Here's Bob working with all of the Girl Scouts, and at the end of the event, we all sang Make New Friends, which is a very popular Girl Scout song. And Anne played along with us on the organ, and Bob conducted the group. And so it's just a really interesting, cool way for us to be in our community and doing this kind of work. And so going forward, as we're in this digital mode, I'd love to see a way for us to keep this connection going. Maybe not just with the Girl Scouts, but with young people who are transitioning into an online platform, most likely for their school in the fall. What kind of things can we share with them? How can we inspire young people to create music? It doesn't necessarily have to be Bach right out the bat, but just to be together, to create music, and to inspire them to learn more about what we're doing. The other thing that we've brought up is our high school art project. And these are some examples from our project from this year that we haven't quite finished up with. We're still trying to work out the details as to how to do it. But last year, we presented Petaluma High School art students at our spring circa concert. And we presented all of their art there as a gallery. And then we also chose the top 3 artists and gave them cash prizes, and also gave Petaluma High School a cash prize as well to support their art program. And so this is our 2nd year doing it. This year we had 17 entries, and these are just a few of them. They're really beautiful, and it's such a wonderful project. And the idea is that we've been giving them the theme of our season as an inspiration for them to create a piece of artwork. And so some of you will remember that our theme for this past season was all over the map. And so here's just a couple of those. That's just like a little review of what we've done in the past. And so I'm just going to go ahead and pass it back over to Bob to talk a little bit more about what we're doing now.
So do I have to share a screen again? I guess I could do. Yeah. There we go. All right, I'm back. The next little piece of our presentation tonight is what we're doing. That is to say, now. And as you all know, the first thing that happened was shock. And I think we were all glued to the newspaper or the computer or the TV or the whatever, trying to come to grips with what has been happening. And then kind of out of the blue, but out of a necessity to do something, I ended up starting to send out a chorale every week. And that was kind of the beginning of what we now have. It's a fairly comprehensive program of things that we're doing. And most of you are getting emails from me. If you're not getting emails from me, all the stuff that I'm sending ends up on our website anyway. But if you want to me to send out the madrigals and the chorales and the motets, let Dianna know or let me know. Happy to put you on the list. So these fall into several categories. The pandemic recording projects are essentially an audio-only version of what so many groups are doing and have been doing, the kind of Hollywood Squares video production. And we're on our fourth one right now. Anybody who's doing one, now is time to submit your recording. But we've had anywhere from 25 to 35 people participating in these. And there have been mostly motets. And the most recent one, the one that's still in play, is the famous Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring from Cantata 147. Then there's repertoire projects, which are more or less for people to do on their own time. They are balm to me. So even if nobody does them, I'm still going to keep sending them out, damn it. Because I love it. I just love it. It's what, you guys all know that I love to do programming. That's just one of the things that really floats my boat. And I find it so fulfilling. And this is a kind of programming. But I really hope that people are doing some. I don't expect that everyone's doing all of them every week, because that would be a fairly strong commitment. But if everyone does one of the three per week, after now it's been however many weeks, 4 months, after 4 months or after however many more months, everyone will be a better sight reader. Everyone will be better with language. Everyone will be better at holding their own part independently. And those things are really important. Virtual Bach talks, of course, this is one of those. But we've done them on several different topics, serious and more lighthearted. And we'll have at least one per month going forward. The Choir Loft, if you haven't gotten onto the Choir Loft yet, check out our website. It's very like the old Choir Loft radio show that was on many years on KRCB Santa Rosa. But we've retooled it as a podcast, and you can listen to it direct on our website. All the episodes will continue to be there. We have 4 wonderful regular hosts. That would be Amanda, Steve, Dan. Well, I guess I can't call myself wonderful, but anyway, I am one of them. And then on 5th Sundays, we'll have guest artists such as Ann Laver, who's going to do the 5th Sunday in August. She's going to highlight a wonderful recording that she made last year. Then we have vocal warm-ups with people like Sean Hervé, and language classes with beautiful, wonderful people like Cinzia Forasiepi, and of course, choir hangouts, which are bi-weekly for each of our 2 choirs. And that's quite a lot, really. But I think there is probably more than we can do. So I want to just make 2 points, kind of complementary points. One is that, back to the idea of community, it's difficult to experience oneself as doing work for the community when you're by yourself, and that work on your own skills and work, getting to know some wonderful piece and really learning to internalize it and to love it and to be able to talk maybe about what makes it great and why you love it so much. Those are individual skills, but our community is a musical community, and we all benefit when people develop skills. Every time, it's like the old John Donne thing, if a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. If somebody learns how to sightsing a little better, the choir is the greater. And it's really true. I know it sounds like a Dale Carnegie thing, but I actually passionately believe this. So what I want to do is, to you people who are here with us on this Zoom call, I want to invite, urge you to keep participating. And I must say that one of my sort of prompts for putting this presentation together is a slight sense of a drop off of responses to when I send these things out. When I was first sending them out, I was getting these wonderful messages with uplifting things like, "I love it when you send these out," or this one's beautiful, Bob," or "Thank you, thank you, thank you," and things like that. And I don't mean that everybody has to sit around and assuage my sense of insecurity and my desire to be made happy by being complimented by people. That's not what I mean at all. It's just that you notice when those things, it's not that they never happen, they happen less. I don't know what that means. It's hard for me to know what that means. And so I need a little guidance, and if I'm sending you too many things, you can tell me that. If I'm sending you something that you don't like somebody said, they're not so into madrigals. So of course I tried to talk them into being into madrigals, but that might or might not work. But I'd rather have that kind of communication than none. And I hope also that we can communicate with each other about it. Like, I know you all have music that you're listening to, and I'm not saying that you all have to suddenly get passionate about my favorite pieces, but when you do, share that. Share it with me or share it with somebody else, like send an altos, you guys who are always, doing group emails and get-togethers and stuff, just say, "Wow, that was a cool piece. Check this one out." Kind of, I want to encourage people to communicate more, to be involved as much as you can, given our limitations in the COVID era, but also to communicate so that every little thing that happens is it's accruing again to our experience, it's a different way. It's not the same as when we give a concert together or have a good rehearsal together, but it's a hell of a lot better than nothing. Some new ideas, and then I'll hand it back to Dianna. I, as I mentioned, I think if you were on the call when Sonoma Bach's history last month, I've discovered lots and lots of materials and been organizing materials up in the loft. Among them are existing recordings that we have, and you just heard one at the beginning, our performance of the Bach Magnificat. But we have lots of things there, and I think we can use them and enjoy them and make them available. So that's something that it could be involve multiple people, because it's a big job. There are live concerts going back for 30 years of the Bach Choir's experience, live concert, and also, as many of you remember, we did a number of recording sessions too. And then use new recordings. Dianna has been feeding me this great stuff that we have. For some reason, I move on to the next project and I don't necessarily sit down and listen. But every time I do, even if sometimes, I wish that had been a little different or whatever, but even if it's like that, I learn. And many times it's heartening, because it makes you realize, wow, we sound good. And we can use these recordings and we can get them out there. Sometimes we have little limitations with respect to the orchestra, et cetera, but that's something I think we can do during this period. Think about social justice and help those who are struggling in this terrible, terrible time. And many of you will remember about 12 or 14 years ago, with a lot of help from Pat Salter and others, we put together a collab. We were doing cantatas that had to do with feeding the hungry. And the Redwood Empire Food Bank joined us for our concerts, and we had donations. I think there's more that we can do in that respect, and we can probably start developing that stuff now during the COVID period. And then, of course, it can change and be more embodied when we're actually doing concerts. I already mentioned individual skill development and the big picture, and then work to reach a broader community with these offerings. That is a huge opportunity that we have right now. I know there are people on this call who aren't part of our ensemble or part of our general audience group, and I welcome you all. I wish I could talk to each of you, but we've had people on calls from as far away as Colorado so far, and we have a person who submitted a recording for our pandemic recording project from New England. And so, it's possible for us to reach a much broader group with some of these offerings that we do. And then also the community within our normal reach, to reach a broader community within our local community. And now Diana's going to present something really exciting that she and I have been working on. She kind of thought it up, and we've been collaborating on it. And I think this will make you smile.
I'm just going to unshare here. It's good to see all your faces. I like to see all of you. It makes it feel less isolating for me to be able to see you. I did want to make one little comment about the chat and just kind of reading through some things that are going through there. One thing I just want to encourage you is that I have been working really hard on the Sonoma Bach website. And all of this stuff that Bob sends you, I've spent a lot of time breaking it down, and every time he sends you something, it gets immediately updated to the website. It's all separated by song. There's like buttons you can click. So when it feels like those emails are like, I can't read it, I can't deal with it, it's all saved for you on the website. And it includes the message that goes along with it. So if you're worried about saving them for later or want to dive into them at a different time, I just really want to encourage you to check out those pages on the website, just to, take a little email out of your list and be able to see it in a really clear, concise way, and be able to access it at a time that works for you. So I just want to put that out there for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the website or do anything with that. So, but that being said, so I'm sure, as you may surmise from these kind of conversations, we're not going to be able to be back together in the fall to create concerts and do what we normally do. It's just not safe, and we're really not willing to take any risks, as Bob said. And it's just really important to us to do everything we can to keep everyone as safe as possible. And so that's where we are going into the fall. So without feeling sad about it, I've been doing some thinking of some creative programming that we could put together. One thing that I'm particularly concerned about going forward are our orchestra people and people that we normally hire throughout the year to do our concerts, and we pay them fees and we give them work to do. And obviously in the fall, that's not going to be something that we're going to be doing. We're not going to be able to produce those concerts in the way that we had planned. So I thought that instead of our regular season, we should create a virtual season. And the idea behind this virtual season is that we will pick local groups that we work with regularly to have a month in our season. And in this month, they'll offer us a Bach talk, and this Bach talk will be something about some online content that they're creating, something about their instruments, something dynamic and interesting about their group, and take an opportunity to really showcase their group and what they do, and then also give them the opportunity to create something creative. And it's not necessarily going to be a full-length concert, like live situation. But if some of you have seen the work that Lobo put together for us, it's going to be some Hollywood squares or some short clips put together, some talking. But the idea really is to take a month for each of these groups and really feature them and give them an opportunity to tell us a little bit about what they do, and give them an opportunity to create some music, to do something creative, and to give them work to do in the fall, where I'm sure we are not the only ones that are canceling. And so really, I just want to make sure that everybody gets the idea that this is a creative experience for the ensembles that we're coming together. And so they might be different each time. We might have different aspects for each group and however they put something together. But that's the general idea. So we had some confirmations with Ann Laver and Agave Baroque and the Barefoot All Stars, which you'll remember from our November concert. But we're working on really trying to figure out ways to employ our local musicians and support them during this time, but also to create something interesting, something cool for us to dive into each month, something new every month to learn about, to experience, and to get to know some of these musicians that we actually see a lot, you know, several times a year for some of them, and spend a little time doing something like that. And yeah, so that's really the idea, is going forward, is that we're going to be trying to create this content in place of our regular season. And so hopefully in the coming month or so, we'll be able to make an announcement about some plans, some more concrete dates, and who we're featuring when, and hopefully we can just support people and support music in our communities. And that's really the general hope, is that we can just support each other and get through it and create something beautiful and interesting for everyone. So
I want to tag onto that one little extra detail, which is that I don't think I'm saying something I shouldn't, but you can make a face at me if I am, Dianna.
okay.
Um, we have Dianna has saved our last 3 concert date Schroeder reservations of the season. So that would be the spring, 3 of the concerts in the spring, and we're saving those because we hope to, at a minimum, do these activities for whoever's month it is, for them to actually be in Schroeder Hall if it can be done safely. For example, as somebody I said, I noticed on the chat, Lisa, I think, said that it's probably safe. It probably will be safe for string groups with masks and proper social distancing, especially in a live space like Schroeder, to actually do something together. And depending on what's happening with the pandemic and what decisions we make as we go along, there might even be a possibility of a small audience. I mean, super conservative, let's say, 30 people in Schroeder, which holds 240 people, and very, very careful. And this is for the benefit of the people who come, but also for the benefit of the performers, so they would get to have some real live people out there in the audience rather than a virtual audience. So I love this idea of this season that still has the potential to grow into something more like our normal music making. And then we hope the following season, obviously we don't know, but we hope the following season, so it would be like a halfway house. Next spring could be like a halfway house to more and more real live, in-person music making, which is what, of course, we do. So I think I'm really excited about it, and Dianna is filled with ideas and enthusiasm, of course, about it. And we're going to have to see if we can do all the logistics and how to make it work and how to make the finances work out, et cetera. But I'm excited that we're able to at least give you a little preview of that. And thanks, Dianna, for all the work that you've been putting into this. At this point, I'm going to go to part 3, so I'm going to share my screen back with you all. And this is where maybe we'll have a little time to actually do some of this. So actually have a little Q&A now, but if not, we hope that we will. So we've talked about what we were, we've talked about what we are, and now we want to talk about what we hope to be. How will we be different? Perhaps even better after the pandemic? How will we apply what we've learned in the interim? Which of our pandemic activities could or should we continue? Can some of them be modified to be useful going forward? Now, it's a kind of an interesting idea, I think, because we're all gritting our teeth and doing these things because it's what we can do. But I think it's important to be alive to there may be some new ways of doing things, or even some new things to do that we didn't know we could do before, or that weren't even really possible before. And I'll give you one example. Um, I've wished, and in the past we've tried this, but it's always difficult for a choir to have weekly or biweekly sectional rehearsals. Let's talk about the Bach choir. That to try to get 12, let's say 12 people per section together another time during the week is a big challenge. And I know it's a challenge because we've done it before, and it always was a challenge and a pain in the ass to try to make it happen. And it tends to be that some people will just fall by the wayside because we can't find a time when everybody can come. But it's possible actually to have pretty productive, not the same, but pretty productive rehearsals over using technology, sectional type rehearsals. What happens, of course, is the section leader is the leader and everybody else is muted because we can't all sing together because it sounds too chaotic because of the lag. But everyone can sing individually and be listening to the section leader who's playing the keyboard and or singing and giving tips and all kinds of things like that. So it's possible maybe that's something we could do. It's something we haven't done yet, but I know it can be done. I remember Amanda telling me about doing things like that during the final months of the school year, and other people have talked to me about it as well. It's also possible to develop, as I mentioned before, to develop individual skills pretty effectively. There are some things that we all need to work on. Me too. There's plenty of things that I wish I was better at. And we can probably keep doing some of what we're doing and maybe get creative and think about ways of doing what we're doing or ways to support people in developing their voice, in developing their musicianship, their side singing, and in developing their ability to understand the big picture, to understand the piece, not just our own individual lines. The fourth element that we talk about in our mission statement is ensemble skills. And ensemble skills is the one thing that we can't really do. Not those skills of listening to the group together, to everyone in our own section, to the people on either side of us. That's a live experience. But many of these things can be done effectively, and I think probably we could be better if we can incorporate them going forward. As I say in some thoughts, remote is good, or at least possible for some things. Develop a broader mission on the big picture. Remote can be good for a lot of these things too. That is to say, like for example, one thing that I've been doing is, and more, as many of you may have noticed, that I've been getting into providing background and observations and of course my own enthusiasm on these pieces that I'm sending out. And it's like Beth Tomlinson said, it's like they're like study guides, but of course study guides sound sort of academic, and I hope that these are more fun because although I guess a good study guide would be fun, right, Jane? So I include all of the things that I'm excited about, and I'm literally excited about every piece that I send out. Yesterday's chorale went out today because I did so much research and kept tracking down leads and trying to figure stuff out about it that I couldn't get it done before the Bach choir Zoom call last night. And so it went out this morning, and I'm sure a lot of you are furious at me, but you'll get over it. And then this business of reach, awareness, a wider community, both near and far, through more and more effective use of technology. I think we can work on that. I think Dee has done a great job with our website and our publicity, but I think that this has shown us that we can do more, have a broader reach. It's fun to reach people that are in Maine or Colorado, but we can also more effectively reach people who are right here in our community. So those are some of my thoughts. Do you have anything you want to tag on to that, Dianna, before I do our close up?
I don't think so. I think you covered it. Did you hear me?
What?
I'm all set. I think that you covered where we
sorry.
are. So I think.
Sorry. Okay, good. So in closing, I want to say that this is all about, I think, for any of this to make sense and to be effective, it depends on each of us. And everybody out there, and plenty more too, are part of our community. And we hope that, I mean, we know that you're busy. We also know that you're hampered by, the COVID and by feelings you might be having, and maybe some people have been ill, though I haven't heard about people in our choirs being ill. But in any case, many of us aren't quite what we used to be in younger days. Um, but being in action, I found, is one of the most uh, helpful things of all. As I already highlighted, that putting these projects out is really been a balm for me. It makes me feel useful again, because so many of the skills that I, tried to develop over the years and tried to get better at over the years, suddenly become kind of useless, at least for the moment. And so it's nice to be able to find things to work on that are rewarding. And I really hope that we can, each of us, and then us together as a community, that we can do more of that, can support each other more broadly and more specifically where needed, in getting through this as 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 stronger people, as people who have more skills, as people who are ready, so ready to go back to real life. Um, I certainly love all you people, and I thank you so much for being part of our community. It's just an honor to work with you and be part of this community myself. I'm going to play a little bit of another piece from that same concert. This is the Dona Nobis Pacem from the B minor Mass, which we did as an encore for that concert. And it's the most healing music I know. And if we probably won't listen to the whole thing here, but maybe if you think of it afterwards or tomorrow, go online and find a good recording and listen to the last movement of the B minor Mass. It will make you happy. There you go. I don't know, Dee, do you want to try to do a few questions, or how do you want to go?
I just in the chat, I just sent everybody a little survey. I'm sending it one more time just so that you can click it there. And if need some time to think about what we talked about tonight, if you're out and about tomorrow and you come up with a brilliant idea that we need to know, please, I just encourage you to fill out a survey, email me. The survey is also available on our website right there on the front page, and we'll get to you. So we just would love to encourage everyone to let us know what you think and share your ideas. I have a little pile of incredible ideas from our chat tonight, and I'm really looking forward to diving into some of these and developing a program that's meaningful and robust for you, our audience, for our singers, for our community, for students, for everyone. It's a little aspirational, but we just really hope that we can reach everyone, and whatever we can do, within reason. We just want to do it, and so we're here to work. We're here to listen to you, and we're here to collaborate. And so I just want to really encourage you to fill out the survey or drop me a line, and just let me know what you think. And yeah, I hope you have a good night. It's so nice to see all your faces. It's such a pleasure. So thank you for making the time to be here to let Bob and I talk at you about our crazy ideas and what we're planning and trying to move forward here, with hope, with joy, with love, so that we can go forward into this coming year, a different year, but still full of us, being Sonoma Bach and being the joyful, loving people that we are. So I hope you're encouraged by these plans. And if you want to volunteer, if there's something that you're really great at, and there's a skill that you want to share with us, I'm happily taking volunteers for pretty much anything. So if you've got something in mind, please drop me a line. I'd really love some help anytime. So thank you again.
Love you, people. Thanks for showing up. It's great to see you all. See you all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.